Hey, hey. I think it's been a long time since I've approached any of the other games, Mr. Drapes. And, a lot of that's been COVID. I want to get back to doing a few more. So, let's see here. Team composition-wise, you definitely have a problem in that Kale, Foss, and Tychus are probably not going to stick their damage on a Johanna. A good Johanna will make good use of Iron Skin and the double blind right now, which is completely busted. So Tychus will never be able to shred. This ultimately means that I think the Zul'jin will eventually become a bigger and bigger problem, and you basically have to hope that Sonya somehow can help you get a pick. But that ETC, if he goes for the right level 4 talent, he can just rotate faster than Sonya ever will. Like, let me just show you as an example. Like, you can just sort of power slide through here, and you'll be there in, like, maybe 10 seconds tops. It means that Sonya is going to have to win the lane, and you're going to have to play this bot side lane to not lose.
Facility powering up.
If I were in your position, I'd probably go for a Q build. Like, I like heat transfer as a talent. It's probably the one I take the most. Like, especially with the level 13 that allows you to constantly send out dangerous auto attacks. It can make you a really dive heavy tank. Wow. Really should have got a glass of water. But yeah, what I was saying, a Q build is important because you can suppress a lot of what Zul'jin can do. And ultimately, you're going to have a hard time using your trait because Stukov and Tacit are going to be able to lock you down about as efficiently as Johanna can. I wouldn't be totally surprised if this game, just gets rolled because they'll have the ability to kill you as Mei.
Systems
and that's not going to be the same
10 seconds.
For them. Like, the Johanna's just...
5,
right now, she's just
4,
completely busted.
3, 2,
So,
1. Facility online.
so I'm heading top. I think it should be important for the Brightwing to look to counterbalance that, but that's neither here nor there. This means your job is to very much try to create space, minimize the number of trades you do, let Tychus poke, let Kael'thas get globes slowly. Right. This is very much going to be a slow round. At least that's how it should be played. So, Flaws of Hope, that's pretty crazy. Yeah, so... I think we talked a bit about aggression before. I'll do a brief bit, but you essentially want to make sure that whatever the after effects of your CC is, your DPS are immediately in range. The Kael'thas is bouncing away because I think he just wants to play this slow and get globes. I mean, the Tychus is posturing for this. Realistically, with that Mana Addict, it makes more sense on this map to posture for these globes. Because these are going to punish it. I unironically think they're just going to leave... Okay, this is... What? What the... What? Okay, that's a surprise. The name of the game just completely changed with that weird-ass monkey rotation. Now you're facing down 2 tanks, and someone's locked down 68. Weirdly enough, what I was saying before about the fact that you need to, take care about when you engage and how far you move up, it's just been compounded. Because, again, Stukov's going to completely disrupt your trait. You're going to get trapped into Stukov's E with the Force Wall. But now there are two tanks that can just roll you, and it's gonna hurt. I don't disagree with the use of the D there. Like, that's fine. And the use of vision's good, but a little bit about the abilities. So, one of the biggest problems with Blizzard is unless you can land a consistent WE combo, where you press down the W, immediately slide in to knock someone back into the W. Unless you can pull that off on a target, which isn't necessarily always true, Johanna can just negate it with her Iron Skin. ETC can press Q to escape. It's often better to use your W sort of to try to break the enemy team's concentration. So just as you want your DPS to be able to hit a singular target, they want to do the same thing. They want to be able to focus fire. If you can disrupt focus fire for a little bit longer, it may just be that you outtrade because the tanks are, disrupted for the rest of the position. As it is, looks like the Sonya's winning, so a lot of the advice about stalemate still is true. And you can step up here. Like, there's no real reason your DPS should be stepping in forward. Like, that's sort of what I was looking for full field. Yeah, that's horrifying. Just real talk, you do want to be the point that gets hit first in a lot of these fights. You don't want your DPS to feel like they have to step up, because Sonya's going to dominate this lane. If you can just chip out these tanks enough that you can stand your ground here, you'll be fine. Like, the Brightwing's got Spell Shield, which does a lot against their damage. So, as long as Zul'jin isn't here, you should be able to step up a lot more aggressively. Like, heck, even the talents you've taken right now is good. I want to say, in that moment, you probably should have capped that to completion, but it's hard to tell with the kill. But unironically, well, I still would have gone for Ice Ball here. Having access to whatever tools you have is fine. But that is really good. That's exactly what you want to do on me. But it's important to note where you're auto-attacking. Like this Tassadar, see here, how much health does he walk with? There he is, 0. Like, oh, come on. Really? It doesn't show the HP? Oh, there we go. Like, 300 HP. I'm not sure if I can see what you do in terms of auto attack damage at this point, but yeah, no. I could potentially do it at 13. Like, yeah, it doesn't show the kickers. Oh well. Oh, is ETC doing the thing? No, he's just rotating deep. Like, honestly, this ETC is primarily the reason why things are up this much. Like, had Zul'jin been in lane, you would have been in a much worse position. So, Cold Front is a good talent, especially if you're looking to land more combos. That's not always what you want to do on Mei, and I don't think it's what you always want to do here. Johanna's too resilient, and frankly, these two are going to be sitting too far back. I would have gone Slush Ball here. I'm a believer in that talent. Not a lot of people are. But what it allows you to do, especially on a map like this, is dive. So, this entire area is sort of a safe zone. Well, more like a sort of crescent around here is a safe zone for them, so long as this fort exists. Whoever does damage first is going to get punished pretty severely. But with Slush Ball, you can just roll. As it is, this inefficient allocation of resources they have here is a huge reason why they're losing. The tasks that are just not going to do enough, and it's getting bad enough with their tank. Like, Hazel's here. Maybe they'll figure out what their job is. Or that'll happen. Like, let's see here. They haven't even dropped yet, like, partially because of this ridiculous composition lineup. Kael'thas knows what he's doing. Like, yeah, this could be a pretty easy walk. Let's actually just watch it from your perspective for a little bit. It's number 5. So one of the things I think you should do in the next second is just sort of Blizzard here. We'll see about that. Like, okay, that's also good. But, real talk, he was just inting there. I don't think your abilities alone would have been necessary. You could have just put it here. He's still trapped because he can't walk through here. And the rest of his team's trapped. Like, Mei, as a tank, has her greatest strengths in point control. Sure, you killed him there, but think about what he has to do. He either has to go into your team more, in which case he's banking on his DPS to be able to follow up, or he's going to run away through that gate. Like, he's left with those two options. You can position the Blizzard so that you cut more options from him and options from the rest of his team. It doesn't always have to be a sort of mediocre ETC QW comp. Like, that is one of Mei's biggest problems, that, you know, you've got this 14-second cooldown on 2 abilities that you have to burn just to land a little bit of CC. But Blizzard's ability to be cast at a high range can really allow you and enable you to do a lot. Like, I think, given the 7 talents you think you've taken, skating away, you're still capable of diving. Like, you can do a lot with that combination. In fact, I believe it's 50% physical armor. It also applies to force, which means you now, especially once you get the 13, or is it 16? I'll never remember. No, it's definitely 16. Black Eyes. Like, you'll be able to consistently dive without the use of Blizzard. Like, even in force, you can just use Blizzard to cut their lines. And, you know, more than horrifying. Like, see, here's another example. Like, there's this space that they want to be able to enter into, but the Blizzard is just on the fort. Like, you just shift your focus with that thing a little bit, you still hit the fort, but you could also hit this entire space that Zul'jin wants to enter. Like, he can step up, punish you, or just wander around like an idiot in... What? Okay, that's weird.
The Zerg are
like,
eliminated.
The point is, you didn't have to take some of the chip that he dealt to you there. You could have placed a zoning Blizzard instead of one that was just oriented to siege. And that zoning Blizzard could have also done damage. Like, okay. This match is a meme fest because of the CTC's decision making. Like, ETC hasn't been a good main tank in a long time. And this puts you guys in a position where you have level advantages. Their Zul'jin is starved. Oh. Good use. Blizzard's perfect. And the Q is perfect. Yeah, like, everything's good there. Stukup's trapped, but he does a good job here at zoning. I think he's going to get away. What? He could have just got out the back door and walked away. Okay. This is less me making fun of you and me making fun of everybody else. Oh, man. Yeah, the boss call is good. Like, I think you've noticed, as Mei, your point control's great. Just a little thing about micro that you can handle. So this fires in whatever the boss is oriented, in the direction that the boss is oriented. Like, it's not random. You can control it by being the one it's hitting and just sort of facing it in a particular direction. Like, the way it's going right now is perfect. Like, it covers a huge area that the enemy team would have loved to initiate with if they were capable of doing it. So just a thing to note, you can just use the boss as a tool to help control the boss pit rather than just something you have to tank. Like, this should be an absolute slaughter. Like, you're going to get these camps which amplify the pressure of the boss and the pressure of that. But they've got absolutely slow wave clear. Tassadar's rage quit. Like, this is a walk from here on in. And this ETC's an enter as well. Jesus. Man, I hate to see it. But this should... I think this push should end. But we'll see. Like, there's a lot of time left. Oh, ice wall. Just the thing I learned a little bit for trial and error. Let's see here, 5. So I noticed that you blasted this ice wall without blasting Q. So obviously, what you want to do is trap people with the R, place the W on it just in the right timing so they get hit by the stun, and it's a beautiful wobble. But your Q has a slightly smaller delay. And that means you can put a 30% slow on people, then blast the ice wall on them. Another thing you can do is, since the ice wall is vector targeting, like, let's rewind this a couple seconds. So, watch their positioning. Like, at this moment, you could place the ice wall sort of around here, try to drag it through here, and you could create a space where they just simply can't escape. In fact, you might get a similar option where you just sort of place the ice wall along and position to look to sort of cut the space. Because understand, it's impassable terrain as well. It's good practice to also look to use ice wall to simultaneously cut space as well as trap people. Like, you can do both, generally with save ability, and if you have the mental acuity to do it, it can really make ice wall a consistently high impact on. As it is, this game this game has been a slaughter primarily because there's just been minimal follow-up. Like, man, the value you got off of skating away there is amazing. Like, you're alive because of skating away. Like, whew. Giga borderline. Good call on taking that talent. Not always the right choice, but when you want to be the aggressor, you rarely go wrong on it. Generally, I go the Regen Globe talent because V's are a thing, and having a little bit of on-demand healing is nice, but don't get me wrong. This talent is amazing, especially in something like the Dual Jump lineup. As it stands, this should be a fairly trivial fight. Now you're up a level, and they've got a lot of pressure. And I think that's one point that I want to make. If I were in your position right now, I wouldn't take this fight. At least I wouldn't on my good days. Because you got Caddis here, constantly stepping up, could have taken this camp. You could have just anchored through here. And eventually, they're going to make a misplay. They're going to show on the map, and then you can take this anyways. Sometimes, the principles of taking fights are just waiting until there's a moment where the enemy team is forced to draw away resources. Like, why take a 5v5 on even talent tiers when you can take a 4v5 or even a 3v5? In your position, stalemating is as good as outright winning because it holds the status quo where you win. As it is. Ooh, that is a really good ice wall, but can you do the blizzard? See, did you have the blizzard? That's the most important thing. Answer, you didn't, so no sweat. But you could move through here, time your E with the ice wall's decay, wait for the moment it becomes passable terrain, and back function. In fact, that actually would have been really important against this ETC. Like, he wouldn't get out because one of the things that's important to know about your E is whenever you get stunned, like we might just see it here. No, we don't get to see it. One of the things about your E is if you get stunned, the AoE boop always triggers. So once you press the E, a Diablo charge, for instance, can't actually wallbang you because you'll just knock him before the charge gets completed. It's part of why I like Mei into Diablo as a matchup, just because there's a lot you can do against him. Okay, that's neither here nor there. But the point is that you had an opportunity to just sort of time your E to slide across there, time it with a wall. It would have negated his Q, probably left a few of your allies out of his stun. And you probably would have been able to cut them from escaping through there. Didn't happen anyways, they died. But this chaos could have been a little cleaner had you just looked to do an RE combo rather than the typical RW combo. Not particularly important. Also, this is a good call in this camp. But not sure if your DPS are going to be able to follow it up in a meaningful time. Looks like the answer to that is no. Actually, what the hell am I talking about? No, this isn't a good call. Your Zerg's topside. Like, you should just be pushing topside right now. Like, as it is. This is going to be a meme fest one way or another. Like, why are they defending this right now? Holy moly. Okay, Tassadar's Rage AFK again.
Red team's core is under attack.
There it is again. Raw ice wall. I'm pretty certain you had. Actually, how did that miss? That's worth noting because it looks like you used your Q. Okay. Let's watch it from your perspective. So, let's see here. How do you handle it? Another thing about the vector targeting, you can always start it like right here, because there is a delay as it travels. So, the proper thing to do is Q, then immediately press R on that to try to just get the little edge here, and let the rest of the ice wall just sort of be ancillary. The other option you could have had is to just sort of trap it through here, like just minimize Solid Storm, leave them through choke points, press W immediately on that choke point, and just sort of create this huge zone of denial. As it is, his ETC deserves to die, but your team's focus is split, and that's game anyways. Doesn't matter. Well, it does. You could have refined your approach a little bit. Like, I think you won this game much more off of the fact that, you know, your team really had an edge in the ability to punish. Like, Stukov, Tassar is no joke, but this meme fest of double tank meant that any aggression on your part would only be punished insofar as what it resulted in terms of damage to your ally. I think a more systemic way to play Mei, a more proper way, is to look for options to simultaneously engage and disrupt. Like, place the Blizzard in such a way that it isolates the parts of the team from each other while simultaneously giving you a pick. You're very good at zone denial on Mei, and it's why she's so good in this map. And it's important to use those tools. Like, here, both of these are excellent places to put Blizzard. Like, you've got a whole series of spaces you can just isolate. And looking to control choke points on Mei, looking to control initiation is very important in part of your toolkit. A few little micro things. The WE combos are good, but you can use your Q or your E. Like, there's a lot of ways you can combine the rest of your abilities with your alt. Like, all of them are useful, and that's worth practicing and focusing on. It's also important to note that just as your W can be used as a point control tool, you can also use your alt in the same way that a tasker would. It's less efficient, perhaps, but you can still get some pretty extreme value. Anyways, have a great new year, and hopefully I'll be able to put out a few more of these a little bit faster next time.